OK, this is an extraordinary story. I reckon a lot of people, including myself, will learn a few things here and might well be surprised. Whoopi Goldberg has been suspended by her chat show, The View, following her controversial comments about the Holocaust when she said it was not about race.
She later apologised, saying she misspoke and that it is indeed about race. So let's have a reminder of the comments which caused the controversy. David Baddiel is a prominent figure within the British Jewish community. He's written the book Jews Don't Count and joins us now. David, very good morning to you.
Hello.
And it's good to see you this morning. I think we cut out of Whoopi Goldberg's comments there just before she said this final comment before the show's producers began playing music as a cue to go to the commercials.
Right.
But these are two white groups of people. The minute you turn it into race, it goes down this alley. Let's talk about it for what it is. It's how people treat each other. It doesn't matter if you're black or white. It's each other.
The problem with it is there's so many issues, and I'm a fan of Whoopi Goldberg, always been a fan of her, but there are so many issues what she's saying. It does reveal an awful lot about the confusions that people have around anti-Semitism that are explored in my book. And one of the principal things going on here is the resistance to the idea that anti-Semitism is racism. And I think, what does Whoopi Goldberg think it is? Well, I think what a lot of people think it is religious intolerance. And the problem with that is I'm an atheist and the Gestapo would have shot me tomorrow. My great-uncle Arno, who died in the Warsaw Ghetto, was not an observant Jew. And indeed, it's not just the Holocaust. Now, neo-Nazis marching with torches saying the Jews will not replace us in Charlottesville, they would not ask a Jew whether he kept kosher before they set light to their house. They're not interested in faith, and the Nazis were not interested in faith. They were interested in racial purity. That's what the Nuremberg laws were. They were racial purity laws.
But that comment suggests that there are people who think racism is only about the colour of your skin.
Yeah, no, that's true. And there's a specific thing that I think is going on here, which is, Jews, the whiteness of Jews is a very complex thing. I use this phrase in the book, it's a bit early for this, but anyway, called Schrodinger's white. So what I mean by that is Jews are seen as white or non-white depending on the politics of the observer, right? So far-right groups, and for years and years, centuries, have seen Jews as not part of the white races, absolutely part of Hitler's project to say Jews are not part of the Aryan white races. But meanwhile, on the other side, on the far left, the association of Jews, which is a racist thing with power and privilege, makes them kind of super white. And what that ends up with, it's similar, to be honest, in the Black Lives Matter thing with saying all lives matter, because it takes away from the specifics of the racism to something very bland and general, like man's inhumanity to man. OK, but what's going on here is actually a very particular type of genocide. She talked on Stephen Colbert's show about two sides fighting. This was not two sides fighting. This was an ethnic group being marked out to be destroyed by a military-industrial machine.
She has apologised, and you say you accept her apology. I mean, she's been suspended from her job, not cancelled, and
well, it's complicated. I mean, again, I like Whoopi Goldberg. I thought her apology that she put out originally was good, but then she did go on Stephen Colbert's show and slightly double down again with this white-on-white thing. She said it again. I mean, in America, my book's come out in America, and it's got a preface which is all about trying to convince Americans, particularly, that anti-Semitism is racism, because I think it's very ring-fenced there, due to their particular history for people of colour, the word racism. And I think that's perhaps where Whoopi Goldberg's resistance is. But there's no question that what was going on in the Holocaust, and indeed goes on with the assumption that Jews are vermin and Jews are in control of the world or whatever, is a classification of an ethnic group as sort of different from other people and marked out for aggression and discrimination. Yeah,
I mean, like you touched on there, I mean, I've heard horrible myths about Jewish community, that they are running the world, they rule the world. And I think it's the desire, somebody from an ethnic minority, to point fingers at the white race and somehow put Jews in the same group of people.
No, exactly. That's exactly the problem, is that this notion sometimes on the progressive side of things that the Jews are sort of super white. Yeah. There was this thing where a woman called Jessica Krug, rather like Rachel Dolezal, do you know her, she was living her life as a black woman, and she sort of came out and said, actually, I'm not a black woman. But all the conversation about her was she's not just white, she's white and Jewish. And I thought, well, why are they adding that? They're adding that to sort of add whiteness to her whiteness, because as a Jew, she seems somehow super privileged and rich, and all those myths which are not true.
How do we that solves this, David. I mean, you know, you're like a one-man machine at the moment talking about this, and it's important that you do. But when you've got something like Whoopi Goldberg, who we both love, everyone loves her.
She's
great. She's done some amazing things.
Yeah, brilliant.
But even her, with views like that, having a chance to apologise and get it wrong.
Well, I think that's the point,
you.
Adil. That's the point. You've said it right there. She got it wrong.
Yeah.
And you know, the difference really, and that's what the book is about, between, you know, old-fashioned far-right anti-Semitism, which is just we hate Jews, we want to destroy them, and people like Whoopi Goldberg, who's a progressive person, it is about misconception and blind spots and not really understanding what anti-Semitism is, and perhaps resisting it because of their own issues or whatever. And so I think it's something that requires quite a lot of explanation for a lot of people, rather than it just being a simple thing, which is, you know, far-right anti-Semitism, which is clearly just horrific.
But
racism.
this isn't about education in schools, because these are people of Whoopi Goldberg's generation.
No, I agree.
So this requires a complete, you know, real education of people, everybody. I mean, culturally, we need to change our views.
I agree. I mean, I think it is shifting.
Right.
And I think, in a way, you know, I don't like the whole world, the whole circus of suspension and apologies and cancellation. I don't like it.
Yeah.
But what I would say is that I do want parity for, you know, Jews and transgressions against Jews. Right. And the fact that this has happened to her is at least parity with if she had said something equally transgressive about another minority.
Can I just say, we are running out of time, but I just wanted to say our condolences to you losing your father recently.
Thank you.
I feel we kind of know your father because you shared so many pictures of him on Twitter. And
I did.
I think a lot of people felt a connection. I know I certainly did.
OK, that's really sweet of you. I mean, you know, I just was trying to... People tell me that they are sometimes ashamed about having a relative with dementia, and I didn't feel any shame, and I just felt I'm going to share him and his stories, and hopefully that will make people feel less alone.
Yeah, well, listen, I think the way you've dealt with the grief over the last few weeks has been really inspiring to so many of us.
Thank you.
So thanks, David.
Yeah,
Thanks very much.
Huge love to you, David. Thank you very much indeed.